Title: The Howlers of Black Mesa. Prologue: The silence of the sagebrush. New Mexico's high desert is a place of bones and whispers. By day, the sun bleaches the earth into a cracked canvas of dust and juniper. By night, the void between stars yawns wide, and the wind carries voices that aren't wind at all. The locals of Socorro County know better than to wander after dark. Not because of coyotes or rattlers, but because of the things that prowl the arroyos. The ones that leave no tracks, except in the nightmares of those who survive them. They call them howlers, not for their cries, which are soundless, but for the way your own throat burns raw screaming when you see them. Chapter 1: The First Vanishing. Rosa Martinez knew something was wrong when Chispa didn't come home. Her border collie always met her at the screen door by 7 p.m., paws dusty from herding the goats back to the pen. But that evening, the desert swallowed the sun, and the only sound was the tinny clang of the goat's bell, looping like a broken record. "Chispa," Rosa called, flashlight slicing through the violet dusk. The beam caught a flicker of movement near the woodpile, a shadow low to the ground, too sinuous for a snake. She froze. The shadow tilted, as if noticing her, then dissolved into the scrub. By morning, the entire town of San Ysidro, population 87, knew. Old Tomas Guerrero's husky vanished the same night. Then the McAllister twins' terrier, all taken silently. No blood, no fur, just empty collars, warm to the touch. "Los perros fantasmas," muttered Abuela Luz at the town meeting, her gnarled fingers clutching rosary beads. "The ghost dogs. They're hungry again." Chapter 2: The Watchers in the Wash. Jake Turner didn't believe in ghost dogs. As Socorro County's only deputy, he blamed wild animals or pranksters. But when dispatch sent him to the Romero Ranch off Highway 60, even his skepticism frayed. Miguel Romero stood on his porch, face ashen, clutching a baby monitor. "They're in the arroyo," he whispered. "Watching the house." The monitor hissed. Through the static, Jake heard it. A wet, clicking sound, like bone grinding against bone. Then a child's voice. "Papa? I'm scared." Miguel's daughter, Ana, slept soundly inside. They found the source in the dried riverbed, a nest of twisted juniper branches, pulsing with a faint bioluminescent glow. At its center lay a pile of dog tags, Chispas among them. "We need to burn it," Miguel said. Jake radioed for backup. None came. The frequencies were dead. Chapter 3: The Thing in the Storm. That night, the sky split open. Lightning veined the clouds as Jake sped toward the Romero Ranch, Miguel's frantic call looping in his mind. "They're at the windows! They're—" His headlights caught them. 3 figures crouched at the road, their limbs jointed backward, heads too large and smooth, reflecting the storm like obsidian. Their eyes, if they were eyes, were hollow pits filled with swirling ash. Jake swerved. The cruiser fishtailed into a ditch. When he looked up, they were gone. But the back seat reeked of ozone and burnt hair. Chapter 4: The Hole in the Mesa. Abuela Luz met Jake at dawn, her pickup loaded with sage bundles and a .306 rifle. "You saw them," she said. Not a question. She led him to Black Mesa, a jagged monolith pockmarked with caves. "My grandfather told me stories. Los Devoradores, the Devourers. They've always been here in the dark places. But the mines woke them up. In the 1950s, a uranium boom saw the mesa gutted. Miners spoke of cold spots deep in the shafts, of tools gone missing, of voices echoing from walls. Then the accidents. men found with their lungs turned to glass. The government sealed the tunnels, Abuela said, kneeling at a fissure in the rock. But they learned to dig deeper. The fissure exhaled a metallic stench. Jake's flashlight revealed claw marks, not animal, humanoid, but with 6 fingers. Chapter 5. The offering, Ana Romero, went missing 3 nights later. Her parents found her bed empty, the window open. Outside, tiny footprints led into the desert, flanked by larger 6-toed tracks. Abuela lit a sage smudge. They want more than dogs now. The townsfolk gathered, a dozen hardened ranchers and widows armed with rifles, machetes, and Abuela's remedies, turquoise charms, cedar oil, and a bucket of fresh lamb's blood. "Bait," she said, painting a sigil on Jake's forehead. "The old ones hunger for warmth." They waited at the mesa. Midnight. The wind died. A low hum vibrated the ground. Then they emerged, sleek black forms sliding from the fissure like oil from a wound. Their bodies absorbed the moonlight, leaving voids in the air. The Howlers. The lamb's blood boiled as the creatures circled. Abuela chanted in Tiwa, her voice steady. Jake's finger hovered on his trigger. One howler lunged. Gunfire erupted. Bullets passed through it like smoke. A rancher screamed as a tendril of darkness lashed his arm, the flesh beneath rotting instantly. "The blood!" Abuela shouted. Jake hurled the bucket. The howlers recoiled, their forms rippling where droplets struck. Abuela thrust a torch into the fissure. The mesa groaned. From the depths, a child's wail. "Papa!" Miguel charged, machete raised. A howler engulfed him. His scream echoed inside its form, muffled, distant. Then Ana stumbled from the fissure, alive, her eyes pitch black. "They let her go," Abuela whispered. "But she's a bridge now." Epilogue. The bridge. They never found Miguel. Ana won't speak of what she saw in the mesa. Jake quit the force. He spends his nights on the porch, rifle across his lap, watching the desert. Sometimes he sees them, shadows moving against the stars, heading toward town. The dogs still vanish. So do the drunks, the hitchhikers, the tourists who ignore the signs. And in the heart of Black Mesa, the fissure widens, waiting, hungry.